Let me give you an example of inclusive differentiation. So in a typical English Key Stage 3 classroom, when a teacher is doing a topic like area of a trapezium, in most classrooms it looks like this. Teacher introduces students to the rule. If they're lucky, they'll get an explanation about why the rule works. Take a trapezium, slice it horizontally between the parallels, flip that over. The height is now half h. It's a parallelogram. What's the base? A plus b. That's why the formula is half h, a plus b. And then the teacher might do one worked example, and then the children have to do in their seats 20 or so practice. In Japan, a teacher will introduce one method of finding the area of trapezium, and then the students in groups have to come up with as many conceptually distinct ways of finding the area of a trapezium. So one way is to slice horizontally between the parallels, flip that bit over. Another way to do it is to take the triangle bits and lop them off and flip them up and show that results in the same formula. Does anybody know how many conceptually distinct ways there are of finding the area of a trapezium? Does anybody know it for a fact? Interesting. See, every Japanese middle school teacher knows this. It's part of their subject knowledge. It's what they get taught in college. They're expected to know there are exactly 13 ways of finding the area of a trapezium. But some are more difficult than others. One of them involves taking the trapezium, completing the triangle, and then using the properties of similar triangles to subtract the area of the smaller triangle off the area of the larger triangle to leave the trapezium. And what the teacher will do is when the kids are working on this, if there's a group that's actually making good progress, the teacher will say, one of these methods involves areas of similar triangles. See if you can figure it out. So the important point is, the differentiation comes by the probing and the pushing that the teacher does to encourage some students to respond at a higher level. But the whole class is still engaged in the same task. Now, we used to call that sort of thing differentiation by outcome. And I think that's a terrible term because it's really sloppy. Because actually, it wasn't teacher mediated at all. It was just some kids doing good work and some kids doing not so good work. So what I mean by inclusive differentiation is much more aggressive than that in life, if you like. It is the teacher setting up a task where, depending on how the students do with it, the teacher can ramp up the cognitive demand of that task for some students and not others. So I think that's where we ought to be heading in terms of our energies. I don't know how feasible it's going to be, but it seems to be that's a far more powerful model.